Well, good afternoon, everybody. Now, today's story is going to be about these homeless shelters and homeless shelter settings, the transitional housing, and also sober houses, how they all are associated with drugs. And sorry to say this, but every one of them has got someone there using drugs. Now, social services, they send people to these houses, they're paying their rent. The homeowners have no control over what goes on in their houses. They have house managers. Sometimes they're using drugs, so they don't care. I mean, they're getting paid, so they don't care. And so, they're also getting paid by social services, paying their rent. Just like vice versa, the rent gets paid, and the homeowner will pay also the house manager to try and enforce the laws there. But obviously, that doesn't always work out because the house manager is also using in most of these places. Very few are clean. That's rare. So if you get into a place that's clean, then you're lucky. But people like me that get into a place and there's people using drugs, you can't do nothing about it except try to find yourself somewhere else to go. Now, like me, I'm on Social Security. The income is not enough, anywhere near enough to pay a month's rent in New York State. So I have to try and move to another place so I can get me on a place with me and my dog. And so, like the house I'm in now, from time to time, they're using in here. I can't be around that, so I got to get out of here. So, and most of these houses are all like that, except that situation happens every day. Every single day. And people come out of rehabs, recovery centers, trying to recover. And when you get into these places like this, they cannot recover. They wind up relapsing. And they wind up going back into the rehab. And that is because social services doesn't have a grip on what goes on. It's not their responsibility, according to what they're saying. But the government is paying social services to pay the recipients rent, which doesn't make any sense. They need to drug test these people when they go into these places. If they have any drugs in their system, then that's it. They need to get kicked off. There's no reason for the government to pay for drug addicts rent. If they want to spend their money on drugs, then their rent shouldn't be paid. And the ones that are trying to stay clean, that's all a different ballgame, They're trying to stay clean, they go into these places, and they relapse because someone else is smoking it. It's like putting candy in front of a baby when someone just comes out of rehab from using drugs. It could be heroin, it could be pills, the crack, and other stuff, whatever they're using. And that's how it works. And the bad part of it is, when you're in rehab for such a long time, like the heroin addicts, and sometimes the crack, well, I don't know about the crack, but I don't know about that, but the heroin addicts, when they come out, they can't do the same amount of dope, with the same amount of usage they've been using. So when they put the same amount of the dosage that they'd use when they're doing their dope, that it kills them. And especially if there's fentanyl in the drugs, which is mostly the big problem. And like my son, he passed away in a sober house. They're supposed to be monitoring his medications just recently in October in 2024. He swallowed too much of his pills because it was not being monitored. Now he was discharged from the psychiatric center at Brunswick on Long Island in New York into this place, the Second Chance Sober House. He was supposed to be monitored, but he was not monitored. And the story was very fishy from what the house manager has told me, because my son, he was very close to me. And I know he wouldn't deliberately try to kill himself because he already told me that. So something is not right with the story he told me. First it was pills found next to his bed. Then the next day he's telling me that he gave him the pills. And if he gave him the pills, why didn't he know he took that many pills? Why didn't he call 911 when he took the pills? That's what does not make any sense at all in this whole story. And if police want to sweep it under the carpet as a suicide, which is another thing that doesn't make any sense. So something's not right there. And most of these places also have house managers extorting their residents that do pay cash, like the one in Massac Shirley and on Meadowmere Drive, 128 with Meadowmere Drive. That's place right there. That's a sober house, and that's where my son was at too before he was in discharged to a psychiatric center. That manager there is extorting residents, taking their money, like skimming off the rent, and lying to the homeowner saying that resident has not paid the full amount of rent. And he's smart about it because he will not give no rent receipts. And that's why he gets away with it. And that's what happens. So in some of these houses, that's what goes on. And now something's got to be done about this. There's got to be some kind of a program or a law or something that's got to control this. The drugs going on in these places. Because you can't control the drugs. What's going to happen is they're going to have to start funding housing for homeless people. That's going to have to happen then. Start funding the homeless to stay in these places, because since it's all drugs, they can't keep it under control. That's it. You need to stop funding homeless shelters. Since social service don't want to get a handle on it, and the homeowners can't get a handle on it to control what goes on in their houses, then that should be the bottom line. They should be drug tested, forced to get into a rehabilitation. If not, get kicked off the services. Simple as that. That you cut down the drug use in the houses. See, the system seems to be very weak. Donald Trump's the president now. He's our president. Something's got to be done about this. What goes on here in New York State and Suffolk County. It's all drugs. Doesn't matter what area you're living in. The drugs are all over the place. That's got to come to a stop. So something has to be done about it. Like people like me, I'm recovering from open heart surgery. Now you come into a house like that, I wind up back in the hospital. So I'm trying to get into a place by myself with my dog. Most likely you'll have to be out of state, like in Pennsylvania or something like that, North Carolina, because that's where I'll be able to afford the rent. So that's what I'm working at. Supposedly I was getting help from the church, the Christ Episcopal Church in Babylon, that looks to me like they're backing out on the arrangement. So now I have to start all over, see what I can do. Okay, I'm going to call it a day, and everybody have a good weekend. And today's date is the 1st. Today is February 1st, 2025. Very cold today. And it's going to be cold for a couple of days. Rain. Talking about snow moving out this way to Long Island on Wednesday. See how that pans out. All right, folks, have a good day.